If you're new to selling high-end products and services, maybe luxury products and services, you might ask yourself the question, who am I to sell these products? Can I do so successfully? Even people who are in the business for a long time will sometimes feel or question their capacity to sell high-end products or services. And the answer to the question of whether you can sell to affluent and wealthy individuals is yes, of course you can. If you were to follow home many of the individuals that work in very high-end environments, or work with very high-end products and services, or work with very wealthy people, what you would see is a mix of educational background, race, gender, living arrangements. Some people live in very modest locations. Some people live in very nice and upscale locations. It varies widely, and what's fascinating is it really doesn't matter what your background is or any of that. Really, what really matters is whether you are up to the task of doing the job, whether you can step into the shoes of someone who can work with someone that wants the best in the world, and whether you can represent and present yourself that way, and whether you can get into that mindset. It's almost like asking, can an actor play a role if they have never had an experience in that particular circumstance? Can they play someone who has a particular background? The reality is yes, that person prepares for it. They make sure that they're part of it. So the question of whether you can do it should not be in your mind. The question of whether or not affluent and wealthy people will respond to you should not be in your mind. What should be in your mind is, how do I become the best at this? How do I become incredible at this? How do I sharpen my skills? And how do I develop a reputation as someone that these individuals want to work with? Well, there's several factors that I have found that can be instrumental in positioning you well to sell to this high-end clientele. And I think the first factor, more than anything, is making sure that you have the right product, service, or experience. In other words, making sure that it is a match for the marketplace. If you're selling an inferior product, if you're selling an inadequate product, if you're selling a product that has flaws, well, that certainly is not going to appeal to someone that wants the best. Moreover, it's going to be something that is going to work on your mind, because you're going to know that you're not presenting something that is the best. So that's where it starts. Doesn't end with the product. It isn't all about the product. The product is significant, very important, but you have to make sure that that is sort of the basis. That is the basic level of being able to satisfy this clientele. Now, the other factor here that is important to you in this market is your attitude about money. That's right, your attitude about money. What is the attitude about the people that you are selling to and working with? Do you look at them and criticize them? Do you look at them and feel that you are on different levels? Do you feel some animosity toward them? Do you feel some resentment? Or do you feel, wow, this is wonderful to work with these people. It's wonderful to work with people who have the capacity to do this. Wonderful to work with cultured people, educated people, well-traveled people, people who are accomplished. You see, your attitude about money can get in the way. And if your attitude is that they are here and I am down here, well, that's going to be a problem for you. And if you have an attitude also about your product or service, like maybe it isn't worth it, or maybe it isn't well made, or maybe they're overcharging for this here, well, that's going to be a problem for you too, because you're not going to be aligned with your product and service. One of the courses I teach is called Selling the Expensive. And I use the phrase expensive only as a reference point so that you understand that these are products and services and experiences that are priced at a premium level. But expensive would not be a phrase that I would say you should be thinking about when you're selling products and services. The idea that it's expensive puts you in the wrong place. I often hear people that see online these reference to something called high ticket. It's not a phrase I like, because if you're thinking about the ticket or the pricing of it, you're in the wrong place. The question is, does the product, does the service, does the experience meet the need? Is it a match for the person that wants the best? Does it satisfy their desire? And so you've got to get your mind right about money here. How closely does your product or service meet a need? It isn't about how pricey it is, whether it's high ticket or low ticket. That is completely irrelevant. The question is it unique? Is it distinctive? Is it valuable? Is it compelling? Is it one of a kind? Is it custom? Is it bespoke? Is it well done? Is it a great opportunity? That's what you should be thinking. And whether or not you are going to be able to sell that product, service that client, work with someone at a high level is going to be based on your psychology about the product. Because you have to remember, a big part of selling, a big part of marketing, a big part of serving a client, it's psychological. You have to help the client with their psychological needs, and you have to certainly work on your own. And so you have to present yourself in a way where you are not a foreigner in a plush environment. You're not a foreigner around products and services that are at a high level. You're high level. And if you are disconnected from products and services, you're going to do your brand, whoever you represent, a disservice, because you are going to be demonstrating that, oh, those people sell these products and buy these products, rather than what a wonderful product this is, what a wonderful design this is, what a beautiful interpretation this is, what a wonderful thing this is to own. I remember buying a car, and there was a salesman, and he looked at this automobile and he said, wow, this is such a beautiful automobile. I look at this, I admire this, I think about this beautiful car every day. And even though he was somewhat separated from the car, I could tell that this would be a dream for him. He had the right mindset about aligning with the beauty of the product, the beauty of the design, the excitement about ownership. And this is what we're talking about. Now the third part, the first part is making sure that there's a match between your product and service. The second part is your attitude about money and your attitude about these products and services, and the attitude about the people that you're working with. Now the third part is confidence in your own identity. Confidence in your own identity. Because to sell high-end products and services, you must be confident. You could live in the poorest neighborhoods, but when you walk into that environment, you have to be able to command yourself, command a presence, like you are someone who lives in the richest environment. And the reality is, if you know the product, if you know how to sell it, if you know how to present it, if you know how it should work with the client, whatever their needs are, whether it's attire, whether it's furniture, whether it's design, if you know how to work with them on that level, you are rich. You are rich with skill. You are rich with ability. And so the best people in the market who do that convey that about their identity. They're not questioning whether they belong there or not. They're not separating themselves from the high-end product or service. In fact, here's an important thing. When you're selling a high-end product or service, you have to become on equal footing with your high-end client. That client cannot look down at you, and you can't look at the client as someone that is on a pedestal. It's at a completely different level. You're actually peers. You're peers when it comes to your interest in your product, service, or experience. You're an expert, and they are capable of buying a product that is distinctive and high-end. You're on equal footing. Another key to this is you are to be of high touch, you are to be attentive, you are to be of service, but you are not a servant. You are not below. You are not at the beck and call of your clients. So these are important things to understand in order to build a clientele, in order to approach this in the right way, and to make sure that you attract the right clients to you, because no one wants to deal with someone who is not at the right level. And you have to be at the right level in order to represent your products and services correctly. So you have to have a match between your product and service. You have to have the right attitude about money and about the people you are working with. And you have to have confidence in your identity. If you do those three things, and you really work on yourself and work on your skills, you will develop a reputation. And what will happen is you will attract affluent and wealthy people who want to work with you. If you like this tip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. Share it with someone in your network. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.